He is a man of many paths, a man who is a professional doctor, a man who served in the military service, a football administrator, and also a diplomat. Is there a perfect CV, rather than the CV of the man we are here to speak to today on Prime Take? He is one of the longest serving board members of Accra House of Oak, served as chairman of the Ghana Football Association, and now he's retired, enjoying at home, playing with his family. My guest today on Prime Take is Dr. Nyaho Nyaho Tamakloe, a board member of Accra House of Oak. Doc, thank you very much for your time.
It's a pleasure. It's nice seeing you.
Nice seeing you too, Doc. You're doing good.
Well, I'm taking good care of myself.
I'm not surprised.
I'm taking good care of myself. When I tell people my age, they don't believe it, you know.
So what is the age?
81.
81?
Yeah.
You look like someone who is 60.
I passed 60 long ago.
So I've taken 21 out of your age.
Exactly.
Wow. Then you look really good. You look really good.
We have also in the family this genes of longevity.
Okay.
Yeah, because my dad died just about 3 years ago.
Wow.
At the age of 104 years, 8 months. My grandfather was equally old, over 98, if not 100. And then it's only my great-grandfather whose life was terminated through poisoning. But his father, Nyaho Nyaho Tamakloe the first, lived for 118 years.
Wow.
Oh, yes. Oh,
I see.
Yes. And,
see. My grandfather lived to 122.
there you are. There you are.
Doc, tell us, how did your childhood story begin?
Well, that's quite interesting. You know, I was born at the old Kolebo, as I was told by my mother and my father. In those days, Kolebo was, I think, the biggest hospital in the country, you know. And there were quite a number of white doctors. And normally, in our tradition, after a week, you are given a name.
Okay.
But I think the doctors dictated that I was not that well to be released, but my mother was okay. So the outdooring itself took place at Kolebo. The island, they had gardens there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. When it was described to me by my parents, I was really impressed. They had a nice garden, you know. But they know our tradition. The white knows our tradition. And within a week, the child must be given a name. Now, prior to that, my dad and one of my late uncles, you know, no, my grandfather, one of my late granduncles, went to find out where do I really come from. They do it, you know. And they were told I'm just, what do you call it?
A reincarnation or something?
That's right. The reincarnation of Nyaho Tamakloe the first. That is why I have his name. So his name is Nyaho Tamakloe. Nyaho Tamakloe. And so I was given his name Nyaho.
Oh, okay.
Now, his tool is Nyaho Tamakloe's tool. So I added Nyaho Tamakloe's tool to my name because I write his name. So I'm not surprised. I have grown to look like him. I get shocked.
When I was coming in and I saw the picture, I was like, this is you. Only for me to be told that.
That is my grandfather's grandfather. Is the picture you saw, the old man. It's right here. I mean, you can show it.
Wow.
Yeah. And It's amazing. You are not the only one. Almost every journalist who comes here comments on that.
In fact, when I was going to do the introduction, I almost said a traditional ruler. Nyaho Tamakloe the first. Unbeknownst to me,
he was a traditional ruler.
Oh, okay.
And he was involved in a lot of businesses.
Oh, okay.
He had business and properties all along the eastern coast line, all the way to Benin.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah, he even he had properties in Nigeria. But there's a street in Lagos called Tamakloe Street.
Oh, really?
Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. And he had a mine in Chile. So you can imagine.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, he's a great man.
Yeah.
No wonder you are equally a great man.
Oh, I don't come into a fraction of what they did. And he was a warrior.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that picture, the young picture you see, that is him, a warrior. And I have always been struggling to get some of his ancient items, like artifacts and other things. And when I got that picture, I was very much satisfied. Well, he was in his full regalia.
Yes.
And imagine where I got the picture from. It wasn't from Ghana. Nowhere in our archives could I found it. This picture came from Dresden in Germany. German archives. They had the picture of this man.
Wow. Yeah. That's interesting.
So you can see that we really don't take certain things very seriously as Africans, and that's unfortunate, you know.
But tell us, why did your people have to go and find out your generation?
Oh, it's done in a lot of families.
Oh, okay.
It's done by a lot. They want to find out your background, where you really come from.
Oh,
but that's the belief. And exactly what they said is what has happened today.
Wow.
Oh, yes.
Wow. What about your childhood education? How was it like? Education.
Myself?
Yes.
Oh, in fact, I was born and bred in Accra. I was born in Accra, bred in Accra, schooled in Accra. I started school at the I started school at the Presbyterian Primary School at Adabraka. It's still there now, on the Kwame Nkrumah Avenue. In those days, it used to be called High Street.
High Street.
No, not High Street. It used to be called Station Road.
Oh, okay.
We had two streets running through Adabraka. Station Road and Boundary Road. Boundary Road is now what you call Kojo Thompson Road.
Oh, okay.
Now, Station Road has become Kwame Nkrumah Avenue.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was there that we as kids, at about the age of 7 or so, I remember vividly, when Nkrumah, I think, was released from prison or whatever it was, I don't know. Then, in those days, you know, he was so, you know, popular, and they brought him from the prison, they brought him straight to the house of one of his close allies, K. Badema.
Okay.
Badema lived right opposite our school. And adjacent to our school was one Brahma, who was also Nkrumah's man, who was a minister in Nkrumah's government, one of the early ministers, you know. So that's where I had my basic training. Then from there I moved to also Presbyterian Middle Boys Boarding School. Okay. Yeah, I was there. Then from there, secondary school, I went to Zion College in Keta. And then
you finally went to your place.
Yeah, I went to my place, but unfortunately, they were so strict that in those days you are not even allowed to speak the local language in the school. I don't know why.
Wow.
It was not only that school, there were a lot of schools, but I don't know, maybe they wanted to make sure you grasp the English language very well. And then after that, I had my university education at Charles University in Prague, present Czech Republic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, came back after graduation and having done my houseworship and everything, and I wanted to join the army. And
so the initial thing you wanted to do was to join the army?
I was joining the army after finishing medicine.
Oh, okay. So you finished medicine in Czech Republic? Yeah. Okay.
After I finished medicine, I decided, look, I think one of the reasons was that my late uncle, Dr. Nyaho Tamakloe, who established Nyaho Clinic.
Nyaho Clinic?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. That was his work. Okay. Now, when I was in medical school, he had already established a clinic.
Oh, it's been there for a long time.
Yeah, it was quite an oak. I came to work there with him.
In fact, initially I thought it was yours.
No, not the whole time. I would say he did wonderfully well. And he had a strength. Well, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy at all. Unfortunately, he was behind his desk working when he collapsed and died.
Oh.
All because of the work,
humanity,
the strength they put into it. Now, it was mainly because of him, because by then, before he set up the clinic, he was the head of the military hospital. He was also a soldier.
Oh, okay. The military hospital in 37?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Now, if you go there now, you see Tamakloe Ward.
Oh, yes.
That was named after him.
I see.
You follow me? Now, when he retired from the military, I think in 67 or 68, I can't remember very well now. Then he went into private practice and wanted this sort of modern clinic, which also we call joint sort of practice.
Yes.
So when even though at that time the clinic was an outpatient clinic, we had specialists coming down there.
Oh, okay.
Most of the specialists, if I can remember, the Professor Kwakumpum, Professor Taki of surgery, Colonel Jabano. These are all people I've worked with before. And I can't name them. Professor Drew, each one in his field. Professor Quarty, urology, and they all visited the place. So it became a very popular place within a short period.
I see.
Yeah, so that was that.
So what happened to the military dream?
Well, the military dream, I was asked to attend an interview. I was then in Europe. Czech Republic is in Europe. So I was asked to report at the Ghana High Commission.
Okay. You wanted to join the military service in Czech?
No. I wanted to join the Ghana military service.
Yes.
So I wrote to the Ghana military and I was asked to come for an interview.
Oh, okay.
In London. Now, I wasn't the only one. Quite a number of doctors came, about 15 of us. And nurses, nurses, female nurses, and dentists also.
Okay.
And I remember vividly that at that particular interview, which in the military they called, we face a selection board. That's how they call it in the military. There were 3 military officers in their uniform who were white people. 1 lady and 2 gentlemen. One was a full colonel, the other one was a lieutenant colonel. And then 2 Ghanaians. The Ghanaians were, by then, his rank was Lieutenant Colonel Arnold Quenu, who later became General Quenu and was the 1st commander of this country. He's still around. And I haven't seen him for a while. I have to look up for him.
After this, you have to call him.
Exactly. And the other person was a major called Major Francis Ajemfra. who passed on recently. Yeah, of some form. And these were wonderful. Now, Jenfra also later became a Major General in the Ghana Armed Forces. So it was at that particular interview, after they have talked to me, they asked me to wait. And I did. They didn't tell me anything, so I was waiting. You have to respect others right from the word go. Yes. And then I noticed that another doctor has joined me. Now, it turned out to be a gentleman by name Corbiner. Corbiner was a dentist. Okay. Yeah. So who were the two who were picked out of the lot that came there? Okay. Yeah. So they asked us to go to Harley Street for medicals, and we went down there. And after that, they asked to come down to Accra. I came to Accra and went to military academy, and all the medicines and what you think you know will disappear within a second. Because the training, oh my God. But I enjoyed it. You see yourself being transformed from civilian life to military life. You feel it.
How is it like?
I now understand why they always want younger people. You follow me? Yeah, because it's quite stressful and strenuous.
Very rigorous.
Very rigorous. And, you know, all sort of things that you do, you know, going through swamps and whatnot, you know, climbing off ropes to heights that you can never think of, jumping walls and all sort of thing, being left in the bush. We were left, I remember, I was then made a platoon commander. I were left down the Aburi Hill somewhere there, and we have to find our way all the way to Akropong with only a compass in the forest. Oh yes, but we were able to make it.
That's an interesting one. Yeah. So how many years did you serve in the military?
My stay in the military was very brief. It couldn't be more than 3 years. And it was very eventful. Very eventful.
In the space of 3 years?
Oh, yes.
But this was an area you were interested in. So why would they just get into this?
Oh, well, I got into the military. By then, this country was so political, highly political. Buze has been thrown out. What they call General Chambon was in charge. And it was the military, you know. But some of us had a different sort of approach to certain things. I asked myself, the role of the military really is not to rule civilians. That's not the role. But I read a book by one General Alexandra, you know, he was an officer, and he has sort of specified clearly the role of the soldier. Okay. Now, interestingly, myself, when I left military academy, I served briefly at 37 Military Hospital. Okay. Then I was put on a recruitment team. Very interesting. I want you to get this portion because it came out of a lot of things. A recruitment team to tour the whole country and then look for soldiers. I'm talking about soldiers, not officers. Potential, not officers, soldiers. You follow me? We visited all the regional capitals in Ghana. We ended up at Boku. By then, Boku was not Boku. We ended up at Bolga.
Bolga.
Yeah. By then it wasn't even a regional capital then. It wasn't. If my memories could serve me right. So they did this thing in order to balance regional representation. Okay. Very, very interesting thing. Yes. Okay. Not what is happening now. In order to balance regional, so we started from Ho to Cape Coast, from Cape Coast to Sagandita Krade, and it went on like that. Koforidua, this Kumasi. We kept on going, Tamale and all that. And we had a true regional representation. So, when we finished with the boys, I came back. I was sent back to, I remember very well, the officer in charge at that time was Lieutenant Colonel Ofosu Apia, who, when Jerry Rollins came in, his second coming was in 81, eh?
Yeah, 81.
81, he moved troops from Takrady to come and quell the coup, and things went wrong. Quite a number of people lost their lives, I remember very well. Now, when we finished with that assignment, I was assigned to one battalion of infantry. One battalion of infantry is at Michel Camp. I don't know if you know Michel Camp.
Yeah, I know Michel Camp.
Yeah, that's another very interesting camp. I was there as a resident doctor for the troops.
Okay, so because of your medical profession,
oh yeah.
If you have just joined us, this is Prime Take, and we are speaking to Dr. Nyaho Nyaho Tamakloe, a diplomat, a politician, a doctor, an ex-military man, and a board member of Accra House of Folk. Doc,
yeah.
Just before we took a break, you were talking about how there was regional representation in the military service, simply because the country wanted to have every single region represented in the military service.
Absolutely.
Why was this necessary?
I think it was necessary because I am sure national security might have noticed that. In those days, the national security was then a national security. They used to call them special branch.
Okay.
These are trained people, not this sort of wholesale thing we do now. Well-trained people. They really study what is happening, and they brief government about it regularly. There's one who has been coming on there some time, one of the experienced ones, I've forgotten his name, who was some of the early trained officers. I think he's still around. He's written a couple of books on national security. So I'm sure they were able to inform government that we have to go this way, even though it was under a military regime. Because by then Acheampong was in power.
Okay.
You follow me?
Yeah.
Now, and that was the main reason why we went to all the regional capitals, so that we can have access to anybody who wants to join the army. In those days too, it wasn't, I mean, you don't think about it
having to go through a process.
No. If you
call
are
some big man to help you.
No, it doesn't exist. It didn't at all, I can assure you. What we are seeing now, just yesterday somebody sent, I don't even know him, send me a short message on my phone. So I said, may I know who is communicating with me? He gave out his name. I can show it to you. I say he's looking for a job. Can you imagine it? I don't know him. I'm not in government. I've not been in government for years. So that tells you that there is difficulty in this country. And there is difficulty in this country. I mean, we should stop trying to shy away from that. There is real difficulty in this country. And government has to sit up.
So why did we get it wrong?
Well, you see, I think it's a long journey. It's a very long journey. I say so because I think I have to come in with this. You know Kwame Pianim?
Yes.
After the killing of the judges,
yes.
during the era of the AFRC, Armed Forces Revolutionary Council, as they called themselves in those days. And mind you, on the council, that's why I say I'll tell you something. On the council were 5 soldiers that I examined them to be fit medically into the armed forces. And that was in 1974. I don't know whether you are following.
I get it.
How do I get to know? I have just been released from prison because I wanted to overthrow a champion, myself and 4 other officers. So we were just thrown into Usher Fort. We were there for years. Until our champion was removed, we had our freedom, and I just came out. I came out some couple of months, then 15th May, Jerry John Rawlings. That was abortive. He was arrested. Now after that, I think a month later came March and Four and his group, a very good officer, that young boy, very, very young boy. And March and Four and his group, then my good friend Captain Henry Smith of 1 Battalion of Infantry, they brought in really the coup that was successful on June 4th. By then, I have just been released from detention. So I had no hand in that one. But I was driving. I think by then, when I came out, I teamed up with my uncle at Nyaho Clinic. So I was driving one time around 37 Military Hospital, and I stopped by the roadside to talk to somebody. And these young men, when they came in, the soldiers, not the officers, the soldier mostly, they use a vehicle they call Prince Gore.
Yeah. So
they were in this Prince Gore. The Prince Gore came and stopped right in front of me. So I said, are they boys coming to arrest me? This, I'm not part of it. Then 5 of them got out of the vehicle and sharply saluted me. Good afternoon, sir. I said, good afternoon. Then I was amazed because I can't recognize any of them.
Yeah.
I'm talking about 74. I took them in 74, and the coup took place in 79.
79, yes. So it was 79, the second one was 81.
Yeah. It was then that they disclosed to me that they passed through my hands when I was doing the recruitment.
Oh, okay.
I was amazed.
So how come you wanted to overthrow a champion?
Well, as General Lensender said, the role of the military is not to rule the civilian. But African leaders have turned it the other way around. All coups in Africa are brought by the leaders themselves, And when they go wrong, and they are being advised by national security, they don't listen. I'm telling you.
If the role of the military is not to rule.
Not to rule. That is what it is. That's the traditional role of the military. But we have instances where the military has seized power in other countries. You know, Argentina and all these places.
But even in Ghana, when Rawlings seized power, when Rawlings seized power, he was really a champion.
And I'll tell you one interesting thing. Well, we have to be careful because this is really something that happened. By then, I have not even joined the army. And I was told this by late Lieutenant General Joshua Hamidu, a very good friend of mine, who was once Kufuor's national security advisor. So I'm saying this because I hope people will learn from it. Now, Joshua was having a chat with me. And then the question of how a champion came to power came up. This same question you're asking me.
Yes.
I asked him that question. And then he said, Nyaho, this is an interesting question. I said, well, why, sir? He said, When Achiampong came to power, he was then the head of military intelligence. He was then a colonel. He has gone to play tennis. When he had a call, that they are radio message, in those days there was no cell phone, so
Yes.
radio, that he should see the president-elect immediately. Listen to me carefully. Now the president-elect then was Professor Buzia. He was staying at that part of Accra, I've forgotten the name. So he drove there immediately. When he went in, the prof had a visitor, so he just waited. The colonel and the prime minister and the executive prime minister, you know the difference. The prime minister
Yes.
elect.
Yes.
Then later, who comes out of the prime minister's house? Lieutenant General Afrifa. Listen to me carefully. Now, he called in, and Afrifa, of course, Hamidu immediately paid respect to Afrifa. Afrifa was a general,
Yes.
and he was a colonel. So he stood up and greeted him. Then he was ushered in to see the prime minister-elect. The prime minister-elect said, "Oh, what I wanted to discuss with you, I've got some of the facts from General Afrifa. He said, I want to make General he was then a lieutenant colonel. Yeah, a lieutenant colonel, who have been given the command of 5 battalions of infantry, the most notorious battalion in this country. I have said that before. So I want to give him another command in addition to that. Listen to me carefully. And the command the prime minister-elect wanted to add to Achiampong's already important position was 1 brigade commander. When you are advised wrongly, this is what happens. The man is already holding
in charge
a
of the
battalion. A battalion that can easily create confusion. You are going to add 1 brigade to it. 1 brigade means all the battalions in the southern sector.
He's now going to be in charge.
Oh yes. And you know, we have lost some of the best officers. General Joshua made to advise him that he is from military intelligence. So anything on any officer is aware. I think you follow me.
Yes.
He told Professor Buzia that for A, B, C, D reasons, Achiampong cannot have that command. He told the professor, Dr. Buzia, he was a professor. He told him openly, professionally, if I put it.
Yes.
For A, B, C, D reasons,
Don't give
he
that.
can't be given a command, such a command, because that's a high command. The prof said, he said him, apparently, when General Afrifa came there, it was the same topic that was discussed. And the general gave
The green light.
the green light to the prime minister-elect. And Achiampong was made brigade commander. First as acting brigade commander. 1 battalion commander and 1 brigade commander. These are things that people must know. It didn't take 3 years and you overthrew Buzia. Now think about it.
I get it. It means that he was handed the power to take such a decision.
But he was handed the power, but to the wrong person. There were better officers there. I want you to understand me well. There were who were professional officers who would not remove, what do you call it, a democratically elected government. But he bypassed them. Maybe for one simple reason, that they come from the same area. You see, these are some of the things. That's why I say,
so it
even
happens.
it happens. Even at that time, we have to go nationwide to look for soldiers. You follow me?
But if you also overthrew a champion, why not going to rule the people, or you're going to overthrow him and give it back to democratic leadership?
But that is a problem. Look at the number of coup d'etats we've gone through. Right down from the time of General Kotoka.
Yes.
Kotoka Ankara Afrifa. Yes, Ankara Afrifa.
Then a champion.
Then a champion came in. J. Rawlings came in. When Rawlings was, in fact, before Rawlings came, there have been series. Our group was there too, myself and George Menyela. We wanted to remove Kutua Champong. So you ask yourself, why so? And the reason is quite simple. Politicians fail to do the right thing.
But do soldiers do the right thing? Do military people
Also,
do the right thing?
Why Achembo was removed, listen to me carefully, was he got soldiers more involved in civilian life.
And soldiers don't want to be involved in civilian life?
No. You'll be surprised, no. A good, well-trained officer would not like to be involved in the civilian life. Achembo appointed some of them managing directors, this. No. A good soldier, and we can cite some of them. They're some of the good soldiers.
See.
You follow me? So, what one should do always is to keep your eyes open.
Has Ghana been
and
wrong?
also make sure you listen to the advice coming from national security. Not what we have now.
So what you have now is not fit for purpose?
Oh, look. What I will say, we might have gone through rough times if we have been years back with the military. Let's be frank about certain things.
So Ghana would have been better with military governance?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
What is happening now, if it had been years past, would have called for coup d'etat long ago.
Are you suggesting
are
you suggesting that the current leadership that we've had in this country, say since we became a democratically, or since we had democratically elected leaders, the way they've led the country, years past, there would have been a coup d'etat?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Only a fool will not recognize. And a true soldier will knows that. There are people who feel the same way I feel. I'm not interested in military government because I know the harm they bring to the country. But for heaven's sake, when you are running a nation, run the nation with integrity. That is what I'm saying.
So the past leaders or the leaders of this democratic government, they failed?
No. You know on what basis Nkrumah was removed? With all the wonderful work that he did for this country. They say it wasn't democratic. That was the basis. Nkrumah was removed because there is the argument that he has set up a one-party state and this and that and that. That's why Nkrumah was removed. Now look at what we are going through now.
Are we worse off?
We are worse off. If that is what you want to hear. We are worse off. Look at what happens during elections. People being killed. Look at the behavior of so-called militia. I mean, they are legion. I can't count them. Look at the infractions. Not just from ordinary people, but from ministers. I mean, you see, when people fail to see this, it amazes me. I mean, there are serious things happening in this country. Apart from the mess in which we are with the economy. Recently, look at what happened. A huge amount of money reported stolen from a former minister's house. I mean, these are things that will get a soldier crazy about 10 years, 15 years, 20 years ago. I'm telling you. I am telling you.
Wow, that's quite an interesting one. But there's a certain question I want to ask, Doc. In as much as we are having a conversation about your life story and all that, but some of these things, they become quite relevant. But before I ask that question, if a military soldier wants to take over, does he have conversation with other military soldiers to be on standby, or how does it happen? Because we've had so many coups, so
I think
so. Let's say when a champion wanted to overthrow Pusia, probably he's told Dr. Nyaho Nyaho to be on standby. I want to take this action. Then he gets, let's say, the people. No,
because telling somebody to be on a standby doesn't mean you disclose your intention to the person. These are two different things.
But so the people within your circle, do you tell them the plan? Yes.
Yeah, of course. You have to start from somewhere. And there must be a nucleus.
Oh, okay.
Maybe 1, 2, 3 people. You follow me? If they agree on an issue, then the conspiracy starts building.
So if it
you
is,
follow me?
If it is with just a few
and then a lot depends on the leader and the command he's holding.
Oh, okay.
That's very important.
Okay.
You follow me?
Yes.
The leader. That's why I said Hamidu advised the Prime Minister that Achampong wasn't a material for that hand yet. You follow me?
But the likes of Hamidu too was there when Achampong did that, and why did they not disagree with him but still allowed him to proceed? And
no.
I'm speaking as a civilian. I don't understand these things.
Look, a coup has been done by 5 battalions of infantry, led by Achampong.
Yes. And you were also brigadier.
The interesting thing about that coup was that Achampong was the head of the battalion, and at the same time head of 1 brigade.
Yes.
That's a strong position. Now, 1 battalion of infantry in Tema, Michel Camp,
yes,
is headed by a lieutenant colonel. The second in command was a major. He recently passed on.
So it means that you must have all these people in your
I'm telling you, you were asking how Achampong formed the group. He didn't talk to the commander. Do you understand me?
Yes.
He spoke with the second in command. When the commander is not there, then the second in command.
Command takes charge.
He spoke with the second in command, who was a major. I told you the commander should be a lieutenant colonel. And there was a commander there, but I didn't trust the commander. So he spoke with a lieutenant, he spoke with a major. And the major got the trick. And not just, listen to me, it's not just Michel Camp. All the other battalions that he attached. 2nd Battalion at Aprendu, Takoradi, he spoke with the second in command. I don't want to mention the others.
Oh yes, I get it.
Yeah? Signals, he spoke with the next in command. And other places. So that is a nucleus. So when he moved, so his coup was a bloodless coup. He just came, announced that the government is overthrown for A, B, C, D reasons. And that was that. And he stayed almost for 8 years.
In power. That's quite an interesting one. But talk to me briefly on this one. You were talking about how the governance of the country today, if that happened many years ago, probably there would have been one soldier getting angry and saying, no, we cannot continue to allow this, excuse my language, nonsense to happen. Prior to the elections of 2016, you had a warning for Ghanaians. Would you say you have vindicated that you warned Ghanaians not to give this government power, but Ghanaians went ahead and voted for them? Are you vindicated that what you just said, like you cited the example of a former minister allegedly having money in her house, kind of suggests that there's mismanagement of the country and that we gave power to the wrong people?
No, I won't say I've been vindicated as such. That the people of this country themselves will have to say. Do you understand me? However, I have studied, or I do study situations carefully before I make a statement. And at that time, I was convinced that my friend, I've worked with him for years, for over 40 years in the political arena. Oh, yeah, oh, yes. I've known Akufo-Addo for years. I mean, we didn't start today. Myself and other colleagues, you follow me? But I noticed when he presided over the sacking of an elected chairman, national chairman of our party. Listen to me carefully. That's Paul Afoko.
Yes.
Kwabena Ajipom, who was then the general secretary, and a young man by the name Sammy Crab, second national vice chairman. That was where, to me, I felt Akufo-Addo has changed.
Was that the basis you asked Ghanaians not to vote for him?
I'm coming. I'm building a story. But that took place earlier. By then, he wasn't a president.
Yes.
I came out to condemn it totally. That was undemocratic. But he didn't care. The man I knew years ago did listen when you talked to him. I didn't care. And I criticized him on air, on television.
Did you also call him privately?
No, I didn't call him private. Why should I call him private?
But someone you've known for many years.
No, no.
Call him. He's your friend.
There was a case when this president, what was his name? I think he's among the contestants now for the leadership of the country. Kennedy Ajekume or Kennedy what?
Is that a Japan?
Yeah, Kennedy Ajekume.
Yes.
Made an inflammatory statement that was so tribalistic that could have started a problem in this country. By then, Akufo-Addo was outside this country. I waited, he came back. I went to him, discussed it with him. I was expecting him to come to condemn it. He didn't. I'm sure he knows about this. Though I could come to him freely. I remember we sat in his office at the Nima residence. I said, hey, this statement this boy has made, you have to comment on it.
It's very unpopular.
Very unpopular. Because it took Nkrumah years to build this nation together. I've been saying that anybody, be you a politician, a church leader, a chief, who thinks he can destroy this country on ethnic or through ethnic basis, the person will never succeed. But this country is interwoven. As I sit here now, I have relatives who are Dagombas. They write Tamakloe. Because my great-great-granduncle was in the north years ago. Go to Tamale Secondary School. You see Tamakloe house there. Ask yourself how I came there. Some of them are chiefs. They write Tamakloe. Mohammed Tamakloe and others. So that you can't easily use tribal or tribalism to destroy this nation. This nation is interwoven. If you go into it, you see. This nation is not like Nigeria. Locally, we are not like Nigeria. You follow me?
Yes.
So if you want to destroy this country through ethnocentric beliefs, you will never succeed.
How did you switch to become a politician?
Oh, I didn't switch.
Because a doctor in the military service, or because everyone was overtrained, another person getting into politics, that's how you also did?
Oh, no. I didn't switch into politics because, if you ask a very good question, there's a gentleman, you might not know him. He was an Air Force officer, were then young people. His name is George Mould.
Okay.
He was a helicopter officer.
Okay.
One day he said, you are a doctor by profession, a soldier by training, and a politician by occupation. Good old George, I haven't seen him for years. Oh yes, this is how you assessed me.
And that was your entry into politics?
Oh no, when I was already in politics.
Oh, okay.
I remember when I came out of detention, he made that statement.
At what point did you get into politics?
Look, I said when I came out of detention.
Yeah.
So something happened before I went to detention. I remember when I was brought from 1 battalion to 5 battalion of infantry,
yes,
I was asked to prepare the troops for the Middle East. This Gambat,
Oh, okay. Okay.
So when we went to the Middle East, we were there when Roger Felly, Colonel Roger Felly, you might have heard his name.
Yeah,
Very nice.
I've heard.
One of the perfect officers. Perfect officer. When you see him, you see that this is an officer. But then he was responsible for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Oh, okay.
So he paid a visit to us with his entourage made of career diplomats. They came, the career diplomats, civilians.
Yeah.
They will never talk. They will never talk. What? A Ghanaian Israelian. Oh, he will follow you just like that. They are doing it today. So when they crossed the Suez Canal and they came to us, we were then on the Sinai Desert. By then, the overall boss was the General Erskine. You might have heard of his name.
Yes.
So General Felly came. He briefed the company commanders first. And then we followed him. He went to brief the troops, those we call the men. Okay. Because they are the fighters, yes, the men. That's how they are called in the army. And the topic was quite a simple but surprising topic. He said, the head of state, that's General Champon, and his team believes that we should have something they call a union government.
Union government.
A union government. When he was asked to explain what union government, he said a government involving everybody. Police, soldiers, civilians.
Okay.
That's what they meant by union government. They might probably have a reason, I don't know. So when he finished with the troops, those we call the men.
Yes. Now
he came to address the officers in the mess. And one thing I don't know, by now the tradition might have changed because I don't know officers go to the mess now. The mess is one place an officer, even if you are a lieutenant, second lieutenant, you can talk freely. Nobody will touch you.
But those days it was not like that?
Those days you can talk freely, that's what I mean.
Okay.
In those days. That's why I say I don't know how it is.
It is now.
So after Colonel Felly has briefed us, and he was a very nice person. Very, very nice. Nobody asked a question.
Wow.
Including the commander.
He also
of
kept
the
quiet.
battalion.
He also kept quiet.
Then I sat down. You asked me what got me into politics. Then I sat down quietly. I said, is it really the role of the soldier to lead civilians? No, the soldier must lead soldiers. So I said, Roger, you can call him by his first name.
Yes.
Because you are in the mess. I said, Roger, sir. But I added the sir. Roger, sir. Because I was just a bloody captain. Captain, big difference.
Yeah, they were in high
big
ranks.
difference.
Yeah.
I said, Roger, sir, I think we were not commissioned to run a nation. Then he laughed. I asked that question. Then he laughed. Then said, oh, Nyaho, the world is changing. The world has changed. This is the answer he gave me. And he tried to explain things to convince me and maybe the others, you know. Unfortunately, when Jerry John Rawlings came, amongst the generals who were killed, they shot Roger Felia as well. Very pathetic. Not because he stole anything. He was among those who were shot for what they called then tribal balance. See, things have happened. When people don't learn from the past, I don't understand. Philip was killed for just that, tribal balance.
Tribal balance?
Yes.
So we have equal representation or what?
No, they have killed people from different tribes. So
he also
somebody
had to die
from where is his place? I think northeast. Yeah, Fele came from northeast. Somebody also has to die from that place.
So if you are the unfortunate one, you are the one they are going to kill.
This is exactly what it means. Because certain people, you ask yourself, why should they even die at all? They have not committed any offense. A man like Joe Amedume, what has he done? You follow me? So, you know, some of these things, when you are being told, and I think also, I will blame our historians. You see, they should write the books, what exactly happened.
But have you written one yourself?
I have a book, my autobiography. You can get it from Legon Bookshop.
Yeah, because it should be a good read. That contains lots of history.
My military life in that book is so interesting. The coup d'etats. Very, very interesting. I'm coming out with a final one, third edition. I've combined both the first and second edition. I will add the third edition to it to make a solid book. So in the third edition, I will focus on what is happening now.
That would be an interesting one. Was that why you said no? At this point, I had to leave the military and get into politics?
No. The military, I was sacked. You attempted a coup to remove a head of state. You didn't succeed. There's no way you can come back to the armed forces. 4 of us, Colonel George Minyala, may he rest in peace. Captain Totime, may he rest in peace. Captain Ayi, may he rest in peace. And Captain Nyaho Nyaho Tamakloe. I'm the only one alive. Plus 1 civilian who recently passed on.
So they sacked you?
They brought the papers there and we all signed that we are no more soldiers. They brought it to the prisons.
Really?
Oh. They brought it to the prisons. The same way.
Was it your attempt to overthrow that got you to the prison, or what really happened?
You have been arrested.
Why were you arrested in the first place?
Where?
Why were you arrested?
Oh, I was arrested because I was planning with others to overthrow the government.
So the information was leaked?
Yes, it was leaked. One of the boys went and reported to the MI. And he was asked to keep on talking to us, attending meetings with us. He was later made mayor of Accra, but he died miserably.
Now let's talk football. Let's talk football.
Oh, honestly, there's a lot to it. You see, you young ones don't know what this country has gone through. I personally am always praying against military intervention. I'm telling you. I'm always praying. And the worst one is, because when the military even takes over in any country, you see discipline. You know the leader. You can talk to the leader. But when civilians break loose, then you know that you are in trouble.